All right, Mr. Leonard, thank you so much for joining us today. Please let the folks at home and on the internet know, why are you running for Humboldt County Supervisor?
Why am I running for Supervisor? Well, I've been on the Eureka City Council for 8 years, and of course we have term limits in the city of Eureka, so my service there is done. Put it simply, I want to put Eureka's voice on the Board of Supervisors. I've done a lot of door-to-door work in this campaign, and of course I've served at City Hall for quite some time, and I hear over and over again from people in our community, they feel forgotten by county government. When you think about the number of programs the county runs in our community, from the jail to mental health to halfway houses, welfare services, homeless services, a lot of different programs that they run. But in the past, it's been the city of Eureka, city government's sole responsibility to handle the negative impacts of those programs on our neighborhoods and our downtown businesses. And so I hear over and over again, we need a partner on the Board of Supervisors to help solve some of these problems before they show up in the community. So that's what I plan on doing. I'll be a partner on the Board of Supervisors, a partner for Eureka neighborhoods and Eureka businesses and people who are trying to make our town a better place to live. Economic development in Humboldt County? Well, again, I think we need to have a job-by-job basis. We need to take a job-by-job look at it. A lot of people in Humboldt County have this idea that there's some magic pill, some golden goose that's going to come here and change us forever. That's not been my approach. I think you have to take a look at each industry cluster and try and find ways to help each cluster get a few more jobs and improve our overall economy and our overall job outlook. One of my favorite industry clusters is renewable energy, energy efficiency, and energy conservation. For 7 years, I've been the chair of the Redwood Coast Energy Authority. We worked very hard to bring the Humboldt Bay Repowering Project to Humboldt County. We're working very hard right now to bring Wave Connect, the wave energy project, to Humboldt County. And I really believe that in a number of years down the road, 4 or 5 years down the road, Humboldt County is going to have not only a national reputation, but an international reputation for renewable energy design and research. So I think that's going to bring a lot of jobs to our county. We've already got a bunch of components of that new energy economy, the green energy economy, located right here in Humboldt County, and I think it's something we can capitalize on.
What would you say your accomplishments are here in the local community, and how does that help you best grasp with the issues facing the Board of Supervisors?
Well, as a city council member, I'm very proud of a reputation I've earned for getting things done, and that's always been my approach. That's how I evaluate my job, not how many meetings I went to or how busy I was, but the actual projects that I accomplished and put into place. Of course, I built the Eureka Skate Park. I also helped get a grant to rebuild the playground equipment at 14th and E Streets. The Redwood Coast Energy Authority that I mentioned earlier, I was one of the very founding members of that organization. It's now bringing in $1 million a year in energy efficiency and energy conservation money to help spur economic growth here. And of course, we have big plans for what we're going to do in the future for our energy economy. In addition to that, I instituted a green team for City Hall, for city government, and that green team is not only looking at things like purchasing policies for Eureka City government, but it's working on a green certification for our port. It's working on things like getting greener cars into our fleet, changing how we do business, changing the fertilizer and the pesticides that we use at our parks.
Now, obviously, the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department hasn't seen the kind of massive layoffs we've seen in other local governments across California. What would you say your priorities are in terms of public safety? Do you think the Sheriff's Department has adequate supports? What would be your top priorities there?
Well, I think when you start talking about budgets, everyone is facing declining revenues. Everyone's facing very difficult budget times. Cities much more so than counties. Counties have the advantage of relying on property tax. It's one of their major revenue streams. Of course, cities rely on sales tax. So when the economy is in a recession, our budgets get hit the hardest. My first priority is to not let anybody go if at all possible. Governments are a big employer, especially up here in Humboldt County, and we don't want to see the massive layoffs that we've seen in other places like Redding, for example. But beyond that, public safety is a core value of local government. That's what they're supposed to be providing for you, and keeping people safe in their homes, and handling some of these problems that we see in our society today. Certainly not a job that I want to do, so I absolutely want to make sure we keep people in place that are good at that job that can keep doing it for us here locally.
Now, of course, the flip side of support for public safety is police accountability. Humboldt County supervisors voted last year to form a law enforcement committee to review the policies, practices, procedures of the Sheriff's Department. Other local cities have been talking along those lines as well. It's in Arcata's general plan. Eureka considered hiring an independent police auditor. Would you say the county's moving in the right direction on the subject of police review, and what would you do to see that police are held accountable in Humboldt County?
I think the county's headed in the right direction in that regard. I think one of the most important things that you can do, and it's not just a public safety issue, but it is a local government issue in general, you need to find ways to take constituents, to take people living in the community, and give them the tools they need to get into City Hall or get into county government. And when you can start having town hall meetings, when you can create a situation where residents are players and help make the decisions about the direction that government needs to go, everyone benefits from those kinds of situations.
First and foremost, people talk about jobs. What would you actually be able to do as a Humboldt County supervisor to increase the number of jobs, specifically living wage jobs, here in the county?
Well, one of the great things that a supervisor gets to do is represent the county, represent the community to people outside of our area. And I think it's very important that we represent an image of Humboldt County being open to new business development, being very business friendly, and trying to attract some of these employers. Encourage them to adopt the same values that we have. Tell them about what a great quality of life we have up here, and try to get them to bring, whether it's a call center for their customer service department, or a bill paying center, or a research and development facility up to Humboldt County, because I think we would love to have the good jobs, and the people working in those situations would love to have our quality of life. So, it's a good deal. I think one of the things that we haven't really done a very good job of is marketing ourselves outside of the county to some of those potential employers.
Of course, agriculture, housing, economic development all intersect in the Humboldt County General Plan. Been going through a very long and probably long overdue update process. So what's your stand on how that process has come forward, and what's your priorities as far as the general plan that is eventually adopted by the supervisors?
Well, I think it's disappointing that that plan is, 10 years, 13 years, and still not adopted. That just seems like a failure on the part of the people who are trying to move that forward. And one of the problems I think that they're running into is they've sort of forgotten that a general plan is just that. It's a general plan, it's a planning document. The real work is the implementation work. The real work is getting on board with projects that are good for our community and making those projects happen. So as a result, we're spending a ton of time fighting and working on this general planning document that really isn't going to fundamentally change the life that we actually experience. And we need to get on board with projects, spend a little less time on the planning. The plans are all out there, they're on the shelves. Let's grab some of those plans that we like and put them into effect.